Ooh, Rushpinator, excited to have new drinks.
You're absolutely welcome. And remember, when you sell all of these ones, come find us and we can hook you up with some more to sell.
Is two partners?
Oh, and if you get, say, I don't know, a few others to work for you, you can earn a few bonus Shanix for each bot working for you.
That's right. Isn't that exciting?
Rushpinator's head hurts.
Wait, isn't that a pyramid?
Hey. Shh. Quiet. All right. See you later, Waspinator. Hello, and welcome to the podcast where we are currently recapping the events of Transformers IDW 2005 Continuity Phase 2. I'm Onyx Prime with my two co-hosts here.
Hi, I'm Computron.
Hi, I'm Kilobyte.
Moving on with our comic discussion for today's episode takes us to IDW More Than Meets the Eye, Volume 4. And as always, spoiler warning. A lot of spoilers in this one, actually, humans. So if you haven't read it already, we highly recommend you go back, read it, then come listen to the podcast. Now, onwards. Both Computron and myself have read the series already, and we're excited to hear Kilobyte's first-time thoughts. But before we dive into that, Computron, do you mind telling us some facts about the comic?
Yeah, there are a total of 5 comics in this volume. The issue 12 was released December 19th, 2012, and the last issue of the volume was released April 24th, 2013. The writer was, of course, our favorite, James Roberts. Pencils for the flashback by Alex Milne and the after scenes by Brendan Calhill and Augustine Padilla. With inks by Antio Rojo and Alex Milne for the before scenes, and Brian Scherer for the after scenes, and Mark Deering, Phyllis Novin, and Jose Alvarez. Whew. Colors by Josh Burkham, Josh Perez, and Joanna Lafuente. Okay, so trivia. In issue 12, there's a little bit of a foreshadowing of what will happen. The bomb Tailgate is examining on cover A has the words "Keep out of reach of small bots" scrawled on the side of it. In issue 14, Unutrium, I believe that's how you pronounce it, was a real thing. Or is it Ununtrium? Either way, prior to being given the proper chemical name, nihonium, in addition to its name literally meaning 113-ium, you know, what's the atomic number? What the atomic number is? Oh, Roberts. Real Ununtrium is still likely to make you super tough and more likely to give you radiation poisoning. So we do not condone this at home. Anyway.
Yeah, highly not recommended.
Yeah, highly. In issue 15, 2 very small preceptor-like scientific instruments were among those on Brainstorm's desk last issue. Between then and now, he has clearly abandoned all pretense, as a huge preceptor-like microscope is sitting on view in his lab. In issue 16, the death clock may or may not be a reference to Professor Farnsworth's invention of the same name and purpose in the Futurama episode, A Big Piece of Garbage. The name Chrome Dome gives a constellation, the Vassvee, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is the name of a classical alchemical principle of life force possessed by living creatures. It was later revealed that famed Autobot Thunderclash has a ship named Vis Vitalis. I'm sorry, that's probably pronounced it, Vis Vitalis. Okay, that's with the trivia and facts. Mr. Kilobyte, do you mind giving us a short summary?
Will do. Since there's multiple stories in this volume, I'll be doing one for each story. So first off, we start in the wake of a battle with the Decepticons on the planet Temptoria. Rewan lies at death's door, and Chrome Dome is pushed to the edge. Kinda sad.
Yeah.
Next up, we have secrets are revealed and memories are reawakened when the Lost Light crew go on a shore leave on the planet Hedonia. That's a fun time. Chrome Dome signs the death warrant of all aboard the Lost Light as he enters Overlord's memories.
Dun, dun, dun.
No. Chrome Dome must face the consequences of his actions as Overlord runs wild on the Lost Light. That is not going to end up good for anybody.
Gonna be a lordy good time.
Oh yeah.
And finally, Rodimus and Chrome Dome wrestle with their emotions in the wake of Overlord's rampage as Ultra Magnus hovers at death's door and Drift makes a fateful decision. And as always, this information has been taken from the wiki.
Shall we get started?
We
We
should.
shall.
So we start off with a countdown at the top of each page that'll take us to ground zero. But first, we'll start at the T minus 99 minutes. Rodimus is debriefing the crew on taking down a Decepticon stronghold. I guess they didn't get the memo that the war is over.
Briefing.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this? This is it's pretty funny.
Who was it that corrected them the difference between debriefing and briefing? Was that Skids?
I
Yeah, I
believe
think it
it's
was
good.
kids.
Yeah, because it's usually like debriefing is afterwards.
That was the worst speech so far.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, but let's admit it, Whirl kind of gave the best speech, right? What do we kill?
Decepticons! Or cons, I think is right. We kill cons.
We kill
Yeah.
cons.
And then, like, right before they do the jump, he goes into the back of the ship, grabs Rewind because he wants a biopic.
Yeah, it's like
Murder spree.
yes,
That's
it's all
hilarious.
good stuff. But at the T minus 82 mark, we get to meet Blip. You know, the guy who Ultra Magnus arrested that used to call himself a Spark Eater. I thought that was pretty funny. And
Yes.
apparently, he's talking to a guy that sounds like Megatron. As they watch the sky rain Autobots. What could possibly go wrong for them?
That interaction is so good.
You notice that, like, when you saw the picture of Blip, you notice that he was technically kind of, like, covered in Energon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's just really nervous.
Mm.
So in this comic, it does a lot of flip back and forth before the accident and after the accident. So it's not until the ending we know what happens at the T minus 0 mark. So we're gonna jump a little bit to 15 minutes afterwards, following along with the comics. We get a scene and we get to see who's not doing so well after the events. One of which is Rewind. Looks to be dying, and Swerve. Oh, buddy. Swerve.
He's seen
What
better
happened to
days.
his face, man?
He forgot to put on his makeup.
That's for sure.
Didn't know robots were makeup.
So, between T minus 70 and 50, there's a lot of battle scenes going on with the crew fighting the Decepticon stronghold. Are there any favorites that you guys enjoy or anything you want to point out here?
I liked seeing Hunger, that he was like the leader of the area and he was fighting Ultra Magnus. I'm like, ooh, Hunger's here. Yay. Because I was a little bit excited there. Hungar, yeah, Hungar. Yeah. That
I
was- that
love,
was
like,
great.
in the back, you just see Rewind and Swerve and just sitting there. And I think, wasn't Swerve, like, doing, like, a monologue of what was happening? It was like, he didn't want to fight, but he was going to be, like, a commentator of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was telling like, "Oh, I told you that Ultra Magnus was very cool and when he fought and everything." Till guy's like, "Yeah, he really is."
I enjoy how Drift and Rodimus had a deal that Drift was supposed to get the ones with swords.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was a good time. So we get a glimpse at the T minus 40, and we find out that Cyclonus ends up being injured. Can somebody help him?
Yes, somebody help him, please.
How did he get injured?
And Tailgate's doing some heavy lifting.
He's doing some heavy lifting. I guess we'll find out at the minus 0 mark.
That's a rough, heavy lifting there.
So, are there any more highlights between the fight scenes you want to talk about, or should we talk about some other key points?
There's one more that I really liked. I don't know who Chrome Dome is writing, but it's like a T-Rex dinosaur dragon thing, and I thought that was pretty funny because he's just like writing it. It's like woohoo!
He was having a good time.
Again, these comics flip back and forth, and I want to talk about a key stone plot point here. At the plus 66 mark, where Tailgate asks about innermost energon. Kilobyte, what is innermost energon? He's talking to Chrome Dome about this.
Well, innermost energon, it's the fuel around your spark casing. And even though you may upgrade yourself or change, that always stays the same. And then there's a tradition. It's very symbolic that if you give another bot some of your innermost energon, it's to show them that you care for them very, very much.
Yeah, and why can't Chrome Dome give Rewind innermost energon?
Well, he says he was born dry,
Oh.
which is pretty sad.
You say he was born dry or he was just dry?
He
No,
said he was born dry.
dry.
Really?
For
Yeah,
now.
I probably skipped over that a little bit. I read too fast sometimes.
which is pretty sad. I think we should all get someone.
And he tells Tailgate a quick story on how he met Rewind. Computron, do you mind explaining how Rewind met Chrome Dome?
It's gonna throw me the sad story bone. Okay, I got
You're
you.
welcome.
So Rewind had another person that was I say his Conjux Endura, and this was Dominus Ambus.
Yep.
And well, Dominus Ambus and was using had a very good use for Rewind, as Rewind could help record what he was doing, because he was trying to find his search for necropsips, or what was it? It was like a decay of the Autobots so they could live longer. And next thing you know, Dominus Ambus kind of just goes missing. And well, while all this is happening, Chrome Dome was at what was called a relinquishment clinic. So what that is a clinic for bots. So we learn in this, before I jump into that, we learn in this specific comic series, it was really, really, really hard to commit seppuku for Autobots or any bots whatsoever, because you could literally cut off your head or cut off their heads and they'll magically figure out a way to keep you alive. So they go to a lot of the people that are truly willing to commit, go to these relinquishment clinics to be completely turned offline. And well, Chrome Dome was one of those people that were there, and he kind of was, sitting there, and he found Rewind in there. Rewind wasn't there to be relinquished. He was there to look for his dead Conjux Endora's corpse, which turns out wasn't there. Well, in a fit of empathy, Chrome Dome really reached out and wanted to help Rewind, and that's kind of how their relationship started.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
It's a very sad story.
Very sad story, and it's only going to
Yeah.
get sadder because afterwards, in the now, or I guess after he tells Tailgate the story, he gets some bad news about Rewind. He's not dead, but he's not doing great. But while isolating himself in his room, someone offers a solution, a permanent solution, to get rid of all the Decepticons to Chrome Dome. Thoughts on who might this be? Anyone at this point in time, their first time reading this, who was talking to him while he was in his room?
Thought it was Brainstorm.
You thought it was Brainstorm?
Yeah, because Brainstorm's the one with he can make guns and stuff. So I'm assuming he could have a gun that could target specific bots with the Decepticon branding and just turn them on all offline.
Interesting, because it never says in this issue who it was. Computron, your first time reading, who did you think it was?
I'm not that suspicious. Gosh, this shoots my memory. I think, and I thought it was Whirl, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, World is chaotic. He could have been.
Yeah.
Speaking of Whirl, he ends up actually saving the day, being a perfect match and donor for Rewind, and Tailgate gets then rejected by Cyclonus when he tries to offer his innermost energon. What are your thoughts on these two, not quite parallels, but storylines going through here?
So I kind of want to jump onto the Tailgate Cyclonus piece, and it kind of feels like, Tailgate is really trying to put some moves in for a relationship with Cyclonus, and he's getting shut down. Which you kind of feel sad for, but I feel like, to me, when I was reading it, now that I'm reading this the second time, I'm like, Tailgate's got to take things a little slower. You don't kind of just offer the most precious thing in your life to somebody else that clearly is saying no.
Right.
I
Caleb?
I found it weird that he would offer it to Cyclonus, especially based on what has happened before,
Mhm.
where Cyclonus told him one side of the story, he got mad, Cyclonus smacked him and everything. So I'm like, I know they're sharing a hab unit, but I don't think Tailgate would have developed those emotions for Cyclonus since they haven't really spent so much time together.
Yeah, all fair points. To me, it feels like Cyclonus is Tailgate's only connection to the past. Because every other bot is new, but he at least somewhat was going to be, quote unquote, Cyclonus's crewmate that we know of, right? That we know of so far. So it feels like that's his only connection with, because everyone else he doesn't know. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Yeah.
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 So, moving along, chugga chugga, we get to the event and we find out what really happened. Who wants to tell us about this one?
We come up to a room where Cyclonus and Whirl are, the defeating Decepticons, working together. And at this point, I'm like, ooh, they might just settle their differences. It might not happen again. But Tailgate and Rewind are working on disassembling a bomb. So if it explodes, it doesn't take the captures that the Decepticon captured some fleshlings to create energon, and so they're trying to disable the bomb so it doesn't affect them. But Tailgate is taking too long, and the bomb is going to go off. So Cyclonus throws Tailgate out of the room, and Whirl closes the door behind Cyclonus, or behind himself, and keeping Cyclonus and Rewind inside where the bomb goes off. And the bomb goes off, and Cyclonus blocks the explosion for Rewind, but it still manages to create a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Now, there's some context we should probably add to this, and I forgot, during the whole fight scene, Cyclonus and Whirl were we're talking about how perfect they were at combat together. And Cyclonus, I don't know if you guys remember, kind of pointed out to Whirl, that, hey, just because we're great combat buddies doesn't mean that you're off the hook, and I'm still going to kill you later. This just prolongs it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings up another question. So Whirl is the cause of the incident and
The savior.
a savior for Rewind. Interesting.
I
And
wonder what Chrome Dome is gonna do once he learns about it, because he's happy now because Whirl saved Rewind, but once he figures out that Whirl caused the Rewind problem at the beginning, then I don't know how things are gonna go from there.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to
then,
continue reading to find out.
in
Yeah.
the scene, and just because this is to me, this is good stuff about the whole relationship between Whirl and Cyclonus. In that scene, they were banging on the door, and he wasn't even bother trying to open the door. He was kind of lying through his face mask or his eyeball, saying, "Oh, I'm trying. The door is stuck. I can't seem to figure it out."
He's done this before.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I want to talk about the next issue, which is the Swerve's arc. Apparently, getting blown in the face didn't kill him, which is great. But we get to see that he's sending a message to Blur. And speaking of messages, let's take a quick ad break and hear a word from our sponsor.
Boy, can Waspinator read some ads?
Gah! Where did you come from? I thought you were gone. Cut the break, cut the break.
1, 2, 3,
shot!
That's strong.
Nah, that's nothing. You should have seen me back in the day. I could have drank out the whole bar.
Hey, Heximus. Haven't seen you at the bar for a while.
Hey guys, what are you guys doing?
Oh, Onyx was just saying he could outdrink a whole bar. You want to try a shot of Energon?
Sure. Oh, ugh, why did I even try that? I'm not a robot. Ugh, the battery acid taste in my mouth. Oh, hey, you guys should try this.
What's that?
It's nightmare fuel. Strongest stuff in the afterlife and existence.
I'll see about that. Pour me a glass. God, that's what I thought.
Oh, my Primus, you killed him!
Lightweight.
Calm down, Kilo. He's just unconscious and got knocked off his high turbo horse.
Purchasing nightmare fuel, you agree to the following and will not sue if you have compulsive mad ravings, hallucinations, screaming. If you see someone else in your reflection or in your dreams, please avoid sleeping. Do not consume more than 13 ounces over the course of 6 days.
And welcome back. Hopefully the Lord Aaron I sent Waspinator on during the break will give us some time to finish this episode. So, this next issue revolves around a lot of Swerve. Do you want to talk about some feelings that might be either going through your brain module or what you think Swerve is going through here at this point?
I think because Swerve is telling a story, right? He's telling that he's having fun time, his top 10 quest of all times, and everything he's done on the ship to tell Blur that, hey, I'm having fun, but I can't wait to go back home and kind of tell you in personal about it and set up that bar, because he now has a bar as well.
Mhm.
So, which I thought it was nice and kind of spark forming, but
Yeah.
you know, Swerve likes to talk a lot, so I guess he overtook the the time frame they gave him.
Did he ever figure out how Swerve got fixed up?
No, I don't think so.
And do we ever reveal what exactly happened to Swerve?
I don't think so. He's just magically better.
Yeah, turns out he was missing a face, and he just magically gets better. But during that battle, Whirl throws him the Schumer,
Oh, yeah.
and we have to ask the question: what does the Schumer do?
Shoom.
It shooms.
That kilobyte is why you don't have a blaster yet.
Oh, okay, I see.
So, back to this part. We hear yelling. Lots of yelling. Computron, what's going on here?
There's some scary voices coming from Tailgates and Cyclonus's hab suit, man.
I don't want to
It's
know.
super spooky. It's super spooky. No, it wasn't spooky. There was an investigation by Drift and who else was Drift? That was on like the security force.
Swerve was there, and then some non-named Decepticon, I think. I don't know. No, they're an Autobot. Never mind.
Either way, they're investigating, and the spooky voices just happen to be Cyclonus trying to teach Tailgate how to sing old Cybertronian.
Good stuff.
That's pretty funny.
I really enjoy Magnus's list of broken rules and protocols, i.e., there being signs with misplaced apostrophes. Sprockets keeps touching his. Well, we won't get into that. Just as Rodimus cuts him off. So anyway, Rodimus orders him to relax. I don't even think he knows what that means, and Swerve be responsible for the one to help him. He definitely needs a vacation because, like, on the shuttle to a drop-off point where they can go to an actual bar. Sorry, Swerve. He notices a single rivet on the shuttle that's off by 30 degrees. Like, oh my Primus. What is your thoughts on this?
That's very funny because I think he was having a nice time with Swerve, and they were talking and like asking questions, and then in the middle of it he goes like, the rivet, it's out of line. I gotta do this, and Swerve was like, no, just calm down, just relax, resist it. And he's like, yeah, I gotta do it.
I kind of like this scene where Ultra Magnus was talking to Rodimus, and like he literally said, "Relax. That's not a word. If it was, I would have known it."
So many good things. And he even, like, missays it, because, like, when Kilobyte was mentioned, he's like, I have to write this down. No, I have to learn to reflex. He's like, oh, whatever the word is. Which takes us to the bar scene, and guess what? Hollow Matters are back again. New and improved by Brainstorm. What are your thoughts on these Hollow Matters? Like, some are pretty funny. They're supposed to be more on your psyche, and some of these are hilarious.
I think they're perfect for everybody.
I love Ultra Magnuses and I love Whirls.
Yeah, I like Tailgates,
Yeah, the baby.
which is hilarious. Like, he's like the oldest one there.
It was interesting that Magnus went with is it Validity?
Verity.
Verity? Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is his personal hologram.
Yeah. So we discover that Whirl wants to give Magnus a drink, and Computron, this might be one of your favorite scenes. What does Whirl give him, and how does he react?
Well, at first, they gave him what's called, what was it called? What was the name of the drink?
He says it's a carbonated Njex, but it's definitely not.
No, yeah. And anyway, he has a drink and he's like, oh, I don't feel anything. And it turns out he forgot to turn off his filter to filter out,
Yeah, his
hard
intake
alcohol.
moderator.
His intake moderator. And, Swerve manages to convince him to turn it off. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Well, Ultra Madness takes a sip and he goes, I don't feel anything. And in the slightest brief second, whop, face on the table.
They killed him.
They killed him. Whirl gave him weapons grade nucleons. Like, I don't think you should be drinking that.
I enjoy how it's like Whirl's like, is it? Well, I never.
Why, Whirl? Why?
Such good stuff. And so while he's passed out, he's not actually dead. The crew tells everyone their nemesis. Any favorite nemesis here?
I like the skits. Nemesis is misfire. I'm like, really? Doesn't he miss everything? So how did he create?
I want to know the backstory on that. I want to know how.
Yeah.
Because you really have the two polar opposites. You have Skids, the theoretician, who's literally skillful at everything. And then you have Misfire, who kind of sucks at everything. So like, how does that work?
Yeah.
That's probably my number one favorite. Other than that, wasn't it Whirl that had, what was his
Killmaster,
Killmaster? Yeah.
the guy with the wand. Oh, good stuff. So just before everyone has a chance to tell their nemesis, Magnus wakes up and they all leave Swerve behind to deal with it. And Magnus just kind of has like a midlife crisis.
Just like any typical drunk adult.
Oh,
Hi, Dad.
goodness. No. So, meanwhile, the crew gets another table and continues their story. Rewind recalls the story of Nova Prime's crew roster, but before he lists everybody, someone being Cyclonus throws a model ship at him. Kilo, thoughts on why this would happen at this point?
I thought that he was trying to cover his tracks because he was part of the group in the flashback. So I thought he was just trying to cover his tracks and keep everybody from knowing.
Cyclonus covering his tracks?
Yeah, Cyclonus, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. So, we'll actually get to the truth here very shortly, because eventually everyone makes their way back to the ship, which is its own hysterical route, because they have to get a drunk Ultra Magnus back to the ship, who
He's passed
believe
out.
he passes out again, because he takes another sip and he's gone again. But while that is happening, while they're trying to jump on him and bring him back, Cyclonus and Tailgate, being the last, are still at the bar, and we find out the truth about Tailgate. Computron, do you mind telling us the truth?
Yeah. So we figure out that Tailgate, he kind of inforged bomb disposal on his arm. And it turns out Tailgate actually wasn't a bomb disposal person. He was a waste disposal person. And during the time that he was disabling the bomb back on the fight earlier, he was actually using Rewind's database of recollection to help him defuse the bomb.
Exactly.
Does that mean all his achievements and everything on his list that he showed Ultra Magnus is fake as well?
Autopedia? Yeah, anyone
The
can edit that.
Autopedia? Oh.
can trust Autopedia, Kilobyte. Anyone can edit it.
Is it like the Earth Wikipedia?
Yes. Yes.
Ah,
Like
I see. I see.
so we get a little sad ending for Swerve, thinking Blur his best friend, who we find out he was just a fan bot and given the wrong number, and is obviously the wrong number because it doesn't have enough numbers. But that's definitely it. It's a very sad conclusion for Swerve.
He does get a new badge, which I'm assuming is his bar license.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
That's how it kind of like I understood, because Magnus tells him like he's missing a badge, and at the end he brings it over. So I'm like, oh, he finally got his bar license, and he can.
Let's just say his bar license was renewed. Because in the beginning, when before they left to go, on shore leave, Rodimus was trying to convince Swerve to get Ultra Madness off the Lost Light and somewhere else. And Swerve's like, but I kind of don't want to. And Rodimus was like, well, if you want your bar license renewed, you're going to have to do it. He goes, but I don't even have it. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Lots of little setups here. Any last thoughts before we move on to the next issue?
Nope.
Nope.
Perfect, because this is where Scrap hits the fan. So in the next issue, we start off 4.2 million years ago when we learn what a 1%er is, a spark that has the capability of being something stronger and having possibility of a superpower of some sort. What are your thoughts, and also thoughts on the functionalists such as 3 of 12 during this flashback?
I like the coloring for the spark. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting. I want to know.
Bright green.
Yeah, it's bright green, and I want to know. I want to know more about the sparks. I didn't know sparks came from the ground,
Yeah.
so
I,
I was a little bit surprised.
The whole scenario to me was kind of interesting because 3 of 12 comes in and he rewards the guy who didn't really find the 0.1 percenter.
Yeah, he
He-
rewards like the boss that's in charge of these two people who found
Yeah,
it.
saying that he was free of his functionalist duties. Essentially, like he could walk around wherever he wants now. And the two people that actually did find it, and he's like, well, you guys got about 6 hours left to live.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they asked like, were you exposed to its first flicker? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, then I give you 6 hours to live because that's all you have.
Yeah, I'm like what? But I like 3 of 12. His design looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to figure.
That's pretty cool. That would be a fun little figure, and can't wait to see more about the functionalists later on. So fast forwarding to the present with the crew, and I guess Chrome Dome found Overlord in the basement and is digging through his memory for something. Kilo, can you give us a quick rundown on what happens and what it is exactly he is looking for?
So Chrome Dome enters the cell and starts digging into Overlord's memory cortex, and he's trying to find how he was transformed into a phase sixer, how phase sixers were made, because the Autobots don't have a phase sixer. And so Prowl had asked him to, find that out, and we see the process of Megatron creating Overlord and adding all these enhancements to create the phase sixer. But little surprise for Chrome Dome, Overlord knows neurosurgery, how neurosurgery works a little bit, and he manages to get control of the situation. And now Chrome Dome is the one being interviewed and investigated to get what Overlord wants.
Yeah.
Oh, the turntables.
Yeah, I
Have
wasn't
turned, yeah.
expecting that. I'm like, he's powerful physically and everything, and now he knows how to control minds as well. This is too much.
And yet he's still fascinated by one thing.
Yeah. I like some of the designs in the flashback, specifically Soundwave in one of them. That was it. Like, I like his face, and he's got treads on the back, which makes me think this one turns into a tank. Interesting. I would like to see that. But yeah, while that is going on, Brainstorm is currently working on new holographic decoy, which happens to be a 500-foot naked. We can't show it here, but a 500-foot naked version of a. I think it's a human.
It looks like a human. We only
Yeah.
see the feet. Right?
Yeah, good stuff. But Computron, would you mind explaining how the monster in the basement escapes?
Well, it turns out Chrome Dome, there was only at the start, I think at least 5 bots that knew that Overlord was in the basement. And, well, 2 of them were the duo bots because they were the ones carrying him there. And, well, we don't have duo bots anymore. So now we have 3. We have Brainstorm, Chrome Dome, and who was the last
Drift.
one?
Drift. Yes.
Drift. And during this entire memory, because now it was Overlord's turn to kind of look through Chrome Dome's memory, he goes through and he sees the whole negotiation or the whole situation and about who knew. And he manages to find how, and goes through Chrome Dome's memory to figure out the code to get out of the temporal field. Because there was a unique thing with that temporal field where it's like 5 minutes in there is like 5 hours outside of the temporal field.
5 seconds equals 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So he escapes and causes a lot of damages upstairs. And what are your favorite scenes from this? I'm gonna start first. And oh, buddy, my poor pipes can't catch a break in any of these like volumes. He's always getting injured, and like it's really sad in this one because he's like trying to tell people that he wants to get a message out, and he wants to tell his best buddy that he's making friends and having a good time. And people are kind of like brushing him off while he's doing this, but he's keeping an optimistic attitude. And Overlord comes in here and steps on him, causing his spark to begin shrinking. And his brain module is just kind of stuck on repeat on like the last 5 seconds on how he made lots of new friends, got a bit sick, a bit shot, had a pretty wonderful time. And then he hits the alarms to help everyone else out, but he dies. Like dead. I'm sad.
Who was it that you were
very
sending that
sad.
message to again?
Good, excellent question. Hubcap.
Hubcap. That's right.
Yeah, that was very sad. Very.
Yeah.
And like the panel, like you just see it getting worse and worse each panel.
Yeah,
It's like, oh no.
it's very sad. It's
Poor
gonna make me
bastards.
cry. So you guys tell me what your favorite parts about this Overlord on board, essentially causing a lot of deaths.
I like the part where they show 3 different scenes of different bots doing different things in the ship. And so you see Rodimus and Perceptor, they were talking about the map, and suddenly the alarm goes off. And then you see Rung going to visit Fort Max, and kind of like Fort Max is telling him that he's sorry for what he did and everything like that. And then the alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting because Fort Max's nemesis is here. and then we see Tailgate and Skids, and I think it's Hoist.
Yeah.
And they were talking about different like movies and stuff like that. And then the alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh, okay, so different scenes. I wonder how this is gonna end.
I want to point out another one before Computron gets there. I enjoy the abstract weapon from Brainstorm when you give him to Swerve. You want to explain that?
Yeah. So it's called it's an abstract weapon, and essentially what it does is it creates a fourth wall, aka it, and kind of invites us readers to be part of the little journey. So what happens is that whoever gets shot by the gun rediscovers that they are just a character in a comic, and they give up the will and die.
Supposedly.
And it was Brainstorm's like, you didn't shoot that, did you? He's like, no. And then the guy's like, did you really shoot it? He's like, yeah, I shot it, but it was off panel. He's like, what does that even mean?
It's very funny.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, for my favorite scene, it was the Ultra Magnus gut punch.
Ooh,
Ooh,
yeah. That was traumatizing for somebody involved.
Yeah, and the reason why was because you're like, oh, Ultra Magnus is the only one big enough to stop him. Clink. Okay, then.
Yep, that's it. It's over.
That's it.
And like that entire scene is scary because Ultra Magnus and Overlord are like bantering back and forth, and it's like Overlord's laughing because he's like, "You're not holding anything back, but I have."
That was 100% of Magnus power, and then 5% of Overlords.
Yeah. What's that anime? One Punch.
One
Punch.
punch. Yeah.
That's essentially what Overlord did. He's like, okay.
My turn.
Oh boy. Does anyone want to explain how they were able to not kill Overlord, but kind of stop him, and what the buildup was to that?
I already did a sad story. It's Kilo's turn.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
So,
I'm not talking about the sad part. I'm talking
No.
about how they paralyzed him.
so
Oh, okay.
You want to talk about that one?
No, you go ahead, Kilo.
okay. So Rong decides to free Fort Max from being in the brig, and Fort Max starts fighting Overlord, getting his revenge for what Overlord did to him. And so eventually, Chrome Dome comes with the idea that they can push Overlord into the his cell where he was inside, and then blast it off into space and detach it from the ship.
But how were they able to get Overlord paralyzed?
Oh, while Chrome Dome was in his brain module, he put a keyword that if it's said, it'll paralyze him for a little bit. And of course, it's the word that Rodimus loves the most, till all are one. And, Rodimus says it all the time. So once he hears that, Overlord freezes up, and we get the chance to push him into the escape or into the pod jail cell thing.
Computron, you want to tell the sad story?
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't just push him into the pod. They had a problem closing a door, and well, Chrome Dome was trying to close the door, and Rewind was there, and turns out there was a sword lodged in on the other side of the door, and Rewind goes through to the pod inside with Overlord, pulls out the sword, and the door closes and ejects. But while the door was closing, Chrome Dome was trying to reach through to grab Rewind and loses his arm. And the pod ejects, and before anybody could think of anything, Chrome Dome runs up to the top of the ship and blows up the pod for good measures.
Yeah, to make sure Overlord doesn't torture him. Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to have to kind of be the bearer of bad news. Remember, that pod has a temporal field where 5 seconds in there is like a few minutes outside, right?
Yeah, 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so
Definitely had time. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
The last image that we see Chrome Dome on the floor with the energon pouring out and everything, that's the saddest thing I've seen.
It truly is.
oh yeah.
So, I'm going to push this along because we're all sad now. So in our last issue in this volume,
You made me do that twice.
You're welcome. We did a montage of Ultramagni dying, and any of them stick out to either of you? Because this isn't the first time that we saw Ultramagnus die.
I noticed one, like the first one, it's like a G1 reference.
Mm-hmm.
So he has the little like G1 aesthetics. And we get to see the K class once again, which is kind of like what was his name?
Yeah,
From the Scavengers, Fulcrum from the Scavengers. Yes, so we get to see those Transformers again.
Kind of like the one where Magnus, I think it was like an egotistical Magnus, and like I'm gonna pull up the comic here.
Is it the one with the grenades on his side?
Chest.
Yeah.
I enjoy what the one with the K class is like, and pray that none of them are aiming for anyone in particular. And the one that transforms into a bomb has Ultra Magnus written on the side.
Okay, yeah. So the one with the grenade belt, they were trying to sneak around a cybernaut, and he just happened to say, "Hey, watch out! The cybernauts can be, stealthy, even though they're really big." And well, while he's saying that, the cybernaut blows him up. It's just like you couldn't take your own advice, man.
Yeah, big oof. So then finally we are brought to the present day with the crew, where Ratchet is using a death clock to see how much longer Ultra Magnus has to live. That sounds like a useful tool. What are your thoughts?
Useful, but nobody wants to know how long they have to live.
Yes, fair points. Yes, absolutely.
Just a scary thought.
So we also find out Chrome Dome wasn't born dry. Kilo, care to explain what Chrome Dome planned on doing after the funeral for those that died during Overlord's rampage?
Yeah. So Chrome Dome was gonna inject his needles and kind of make himself forget a rewind so he doesn't have to go through that pain. But this is not the first time he's done it. He's done it multiple other times, and each time he's had the same conversation with Brainstorm about that it's important to remember those and kind of keep them in your memories.
Yeah. The ending of this issue, we discover Drift is to blame for Overlord and is exiled by Rodimus. Ultra Magnus's body goes missing, and I'm sorry, Compatron. What happens to Tailgate? What does he find out?
So what happened was his tailgate. It wasn't necessarily a death clock. It was just like the nickname for the light beam that Ratchet was using. Like he was trying to be all technical. Anyway, tailgate, was just curious and stuck his little hand through the little wavy light and realized he has 3 days, 10 hours, and some odd time until he dies.
What a cliffhanger, and that's how it ends.
Dun,
Any
dun,
other
dun.
thoughts or anything you want to bring up that we didn't cover before we wrap this up?
I thought it was very disrespectful to Drift what the Autobots did, because once they learned, they started throwing stuff at him and kind of like beating him up, and I'm like, okay, he took the blame, but there's more to blame here, so take it easy.
It's not like he got cut in half by Ultra Magnus or anything, trying to protect Ratchet. I don't know if you guys remember that scene.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys' legs cut off, huh?
Yeah.
So he tried his best, and I know he didn't tell anybody, but we know they don't, but we know there's other bots involved. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to end it on a cliffhanger on this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is Overlord dead?
Is he dead? We'll find out.
Hope he's
Rockstar rating. Kilobyte, you want to go first?
I'll give this one a 4.
Okay.
That's all it gets, a 4.
Okay. I'm assuming it's my turn.
Sure.
I'm gonna give this a 4.5.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 5. Yeah, a 5. This one's pretty good. I like it. A lot of stuff happens. There's a lot of things crammed in here. There's a lot of setup for things that will happen later, and a lot of things that paid off that was set up before. It's a good one, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see a little bit more Overlord carnage.
We'll get that.
You've seen it in the records, and you've seen it now. Isn't that enough?
Yeah. We need more.
I'm not done. I need more.
But listeners, what did you think of these comics? How many Rod Stars would you give it? And what were your favorite scenes in this volume? Let us know by leaving a comment below. Alright, so we have no emails for today's episode, but are the rest of you ready for Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 4?
Yes, I'm ready.
That's the one that ended on the Megatron cliffhanger, right?
Yep.
Hey,
Oh,
spoiler!
yeah.
We gotta yeah, spoilers for those who didn't read Volume 3.
Hello, and this is Kilobyte from the future, here to announce the winner of the giveaway. But first, we wanted to say thank you to all who participated. You all deserve a Rod Star, and thank you for your support. It's very appreciated. We really want to thank you all. We can't say it enough, but thank you again so much. And now comes the time for the winner. Drum roll, please. The winner is Riz Kirkness. Riz, if you're seeing this or listening to this, please send us a message on Twitter so we can get your information and we can send you your prize. Again, thank you all that participated. And we have a question for you. We're planning on doing another giveaway, and we wanted to know what ideas you had as a giveaway. So please leave those down in the comments below, and we'll put them on our list. Thank you so much again for participating, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. We hope you are all staying safe out there. Thank you so much for listening, and till all are one.
Till all are one.
Till all are one.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Swerve's Bar Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Swerve's Bar. If you are interested in more content, Try checking out the spin-off D&D Transform and Rollout Rise of the World Killers. Let's tune in for a preview now.
Do you want a booster seat?
No, but can you hand me a seatbelt, please?
Exhilarating. There is also a YouTube channel with bonus content. Link will be provided below. End transmission.